I had finished the modifications on the holograms that night, before finally going to sleep and enjoying my 8 hours of instant sleep. Waking up feeling refreshed, I knew I would need to get out of the apartment, or I would pick at the songs trying to fix them, when they were already great. Feeling antsy, I knew that I needed something that would keep me moving. Squats while holding dumbbells ended up being the exercise of choice. Hidden away in the TC gym downstairs in a corner, I was given some privacy so no one could see just how much effort I was putting into the work. Dripping with sweat, my legs felt like they were butter, but I needed just a few more reps to be satisfied. I didn't exactly enjoy the exercise, but there was a knowledge that if I could just hit the next level, and then level 10, I wouldn't need to do this ever again. Perfect physical fitness for as long as I lived was a very tempting proposition to just keep pushing a few more. I winced as I felt my leg finally give, unable to keep myself going. I gently placed the weights down and took a second to stretch. Then, because muscle pain sucks, I pulled a max stock out of my pocket. I took a second to huff it, and instantly felt a tingle go down my legs. Muscles abused and at their utter limit, tingled as they were refreshed, feeling like I had just gotten up that morning. Stretching my muscles, I let myself get ready, and then picked up the weights again. I had checked, and John wasn't around today, and so behind the little corner, out of sight, I went back to it. This time doing crunches. Body 9. The plan was I would earn it today. I went at it. Inhaling and exhaling as I moved, abs hauling me up and down, the extra weight in my arms making it all the harder. Slowly my muscles refreshed from the max stock started to burn, started to weaken and tire, but pain was temporary, especially when you can literally just take some medicine and feel fine a moment later. There was something very freeing about knowing that any pain I had to deal with could end in moments. Something that you knew would end, and end quickly, had less fear to it. What was my body besides just a machine? What was Motoko, but a girl in the shell? I changed exercises. Push-ups were easier, as my arms were chrome, but they still worked the core, and some of the muscles in my back. I was sweating, as I lowered myself to the concrete over and over. Drops falling down my nose, running over my eyes, but my karoshi didn't sting from the sweat, so I ignored it, and just continued on, down and up and down. Muscles pushed to their limits and their limits ignored. I was cool, frozen solid as I continued to work. 100 body XP gained. Body leveled up. Collapsing onto the concrete, I lay there for a minute, just breathing, trying to catch my breath. I had done it. Body 9. I struggled for a few moments to pull another max stock out of my pocket and huffed it down, and then I rose up and stretched, feeling just fine. Frowning at how sweaty I was, I decided it was time to get a shower. I pressed a hand along my leotard. Gonna need to get this adjusted a bit. It was kinda tight all of a sudden. Spending the day getting my outfits adjusted to make sure it fit wasn't what I had planned, but it kept me out of the apartment. But only for so long. As I walked inside, I stared at the guitar sitting innocently against the living room table, and felt it creeping up my spine. The realization of what was coming. I had agreed to go out on a stage and play songs for people. Living actual people. People I didn't know. I walked over to the couch, fell to my knees, grabbed one of the cushions and slammed my face into the cushion as I screamed. What was I doing? Only once I was done did I rise up, gasping for air and then centering myself. I had agreed to do this. Hiromi was right, I was being such a gonk about it. There was nothing to be afraid of, and there was a part of me that wanted to get up on stage and be a fucking rock star. But that part was currently quivering behind a mental couch, pretending it didn't exist for getting me into this. I shook it off, slapping my cheeks with my cool chrome hands and breathing in and out. I'm not fucking Bochi, I reminded myself. If that girl could do it, so can I. Totally ignoring Bochi being a manga character. It still counted. Shake it off, I ordered myself. Having gone over all the songs already, I had cleaned them up as much as I could. Each of the 5 tracks were ready. I was ready. Well, the songs were ready anyways. Stalking around the apartment a few minutes later, I realized I was getting lost in my own head and I needed to do something. I got up and walked straight out of the house. I didn't want to bother Hiromi or the boys, they were supportive about this, but also a bit too close. June was out too, because he couldn't know. So who else could I go and chat with? Wakako? The fact that thought had gone through my head told me how rattled this had made me. No, that was silly, but I did have someone else I could chat with. Jumping into the Quadra, I gunned it out of the garage, heading straight towards Kabuki. Lizzie's was active. The start of their after-work rush was just starting as I arrived, but I managed to slip into a spot without trouble and then went hunting. Rita should be here. Well, if not Rita, then Judy, but honestly Judy wasn't one I would really go to for advice. Girl doesn't exactly have her own shit together. She wasn't the outdoor bouncer, and there wasn't a line yet, so I was able to walk up to the woman at the entrance. Is Rita here tonight? I asked, and the woman looked me up and down. Who wants to know? Motoko. Rita's a chum. If you say so. She's inside, check the roof. Thanks. I called out, rushing past and doing just that, hitting the stairs up and then bursting outside to see a basketball game going full blast, and Rita watching over the roof. Why the Mox had someone up here keeping an eye on things didn't make sense to me, but I wasn't about to question my good luck. Rita. I called out as I hurried over. She had been leaning up against one of the AC units just watching the game. Motoko? Haven't seen you in a while, kid. Yeah, it feels like it's been forever. I haven't really done gigs that work as BDs, so I haven't stopped by for Judy in a bit. But you got a minute? Rita looked me over, not seeing me injured or anything, and she shrugged. Sure, you want some privacy? She offered and I waved her off. It was fine. No, it's nothing like that. So, I've been making some songs and stuff. One of them I made got the interest of Denny, the drummer from Samurai. It was jazz and fun and stuck in my head, but she wanted to buy it, so I said yes. That's preem. Rita offered, perking up in surprise. Yeah, Hiromi did a great job getting a good deal too, but that's not it. Hiromi talked to me, after hearing another song I was making, a new one technically. She convinced me to, well, get up on stage. I have an actual gig scheduled and everything, but I'm totally freaking out about it. I turned to her, sort of looking for something, advice, wise words, anything. Instead, Rita started laughing at me. That's amazing, she said, offered out between giggles. Actual giggles. I was really hoping for more than that. I pouted. I'm sorry. It's not. You just look so freaked. She continued to giggle and I pouted, and finally she managed to control herself, wiping a chrome hand over her mouth to try and stop the smile across her lips. Okay, I'm good. Sorry. Mean. I mumbled back. Oh come on. It's funny. Motoko, I've heard you play before. You're good. And if you already sold a song, that's amazing. You have nothing to worry about, and hey, even if you fumble it, or make a mistake, it's fine. You're a kid. You can only do well out there. She offered, trying to sound mature, but the way she kept wanting to break into laughter wasn't helping. Thanks, I guess. I mumbled. So much for Rita's big sis energy. No wait, this was literal big sis energy. Fuck, I needed like, mom energy right now or something. So you were going to play your songs? Where at? I'd have heard about it if it was here. No, I don't know if my stuff fits Lizzie's. I picked a bar, Red Dirt in Arroyo. It's where Samurai had their first gig, so it's special. I wanted to play there. When at? Tomorrow night. I whispered, revealing the truth. I had so little time to mentally prepare myself. Or, as was probably more likely, time to find a way to run the fuck away. I don't feel like I'm ready for this. If I'm really cut out to be a rockaboy. I don't even like crowds. Alright, I see you need some real words here. So here it is. Tomorrow night, Motoko, take your guitar and get up on that stage and play your songs. Play them, loud and with all the emotion you can, so that even the core at the top of their towers hear you. That's what it means to be a rockaboy. Rita said, her tone serious as she reached out and put both hands on my shoulders. Chrome to chrome. I will. I just feel anxious. I said, and then I stopped and took a breath in and out. No. It's not anxiety. It's excitement. I told myself. Good advice from a past life. Hey. That's what I want to see. That's right. Rita agreed, smiling. Of course you realize I'll have to show up now. I mean, if you want? You were the person that gave me the idea to play music, so if anyone deserves to hear it, it's you. I told her, looking up into her eyes, and I watched as her chrome face normally still shifted into a look of surprise. God, kid. Pull shit like that tomorrow, and you won't have any issues, she said, and then so quiet I couldn't quite make it out, and I'm sure I heard it wrong. She said something that sounded like, "Damn heartbreakers." Dash. My luck of course didn't hold out. I kept expecting there to be some random occurrence, a scav attack, maelstrom war, or anything that would interrupt the time of the gig. Or maybe I just hoped it would, but nothing happened. So I slipped into the quadra, guitar in the passenger seat, music box on the floor, and drove over to the Red Dirt Bar. It was time to head over, talk to the owner, and set up. At least that is what Hiromi told me. She was already there apparently. I have no idea what madness Hiromi was plotting, but the fact she was there already told me a lot. The drive over didn't last long enough, and before I knew it I was pulling into the little parking lot beside the Red Dirt Bar. I could even see Malcolm already out there, beside his Rayfield. "Malcolm, you fucking gonk, you're gonna get that thing stolen out here." I pulled up beside him and stepped out. "Malcolm, why did you drive that?" "Hey, you're kidding, right? I'm going to a rock party tonight. Of course I need to show up," he said, waving his hand at the car. "Malcolm, if someone steals your car I'm not hunting it down." "Okay, 1. Please. And 2, I doubt it. The Rayfield has amazing security." I just stared at him for a while, before he sighed. "Should I send it home first? Catch a ride home with Itchy or something?" he asked quietly, like a kicked dog. I stared for a while. There were people starting to arrive, and it was obvious Malcolm was getting attention. I sighed, running a hand over my face to keep myself from smiling. "If someone steals your car I'll help you get it back. Go get him, Tiger," I said, slapping him on the shoulder. There were quite a few people looking at Malcolm with interest. "Good luck, buddy." I headed to the passenger seat and pulled out my guitar and music box. Deep breaths. I turned and headed inside. The bar was tiny. One main room, a set of stairs to the second floor that was just a viewing level. One tiny bathroom, and a small storage room that led back outside. Bar to my left, and there it was. The stage looked so much smaller than I remember. The massive samurai mural was there, but the rest of it felt like it was barely big enough for me, much less an entire band. "Motoko." Hiromi cheered at me from the bar. "Come over. Meet the owner." Walking over, the older man behind the bar gave me a look over and a nod. "So you're Motoko Kusanagi. Well, I wish you luck, kid. Payment'll get sent to your manager when you're done," he offered, and then turned to take an order from an early patron. "See. All set?" Hiromi offered, and I nodded, looking away over the bar. Why was I doing this? "Just relax, Motoko. Here, come on," Hiromi demanded, pulling me away and towards the little storage room. I let her lead me away, and then once the door was closed she spun on me. "Motoko, you can do this." "I know. It's embarrassing," I whined, childishly rubbing my face. "PFFT. I guess even you lose some of your cool sometimes too, huh?" she teased, and I stuck my tongue out at her, which she returned, and soon we were both giggling. "You can do it." "I know." "Good. Then get dressed. Where is the outfit we got for you?" "I'm not wearing it," I told her firmly. The monstrosity that Ichi, Malcolm, and Hiromi had decided was somehow going to be my Rockaboy outfit was a definite no. It was sexy though. "It's fine. This is what I'm comfortable with anyway." I was wearing my jeans and leotard, with my jacket on top, and I even had my fingerless gloves. Hadn't worn them in a while since I didn't need them anymore, but it felt right. At least "Hiromi, I know you think it's sexy, but it's really not me," I denied her. The less said about the hat the better. "Fine, it's your gig after all. We have a seat up front. You should come hang out for a while." Then she leaned in with a smirk. "Ichi has been flirting with a waitress for the last 10 minutes, and fumbling with it every time." "Okay, that I have to see." I agreed and we both smirked as I followed Hiromi back into the main room. I looked around and nodded. It wasn't very active, less than 20 people so far. Everything was good. That size of a crowd I could deal with. Settling onto the table, I noticed that Malcolm was inside now, and both boys jolted as Hiromi and I arrived, and then pretended nothing was wrong. "What are you two up to?" "Nothing." Both boys denied at once, only making it more obvious they were hiding something. "Okay, sure," I argued with a snort, and slipped onto the stool seating, heaving my guitar on top along with my music box. Now I wait. It was actually pretty fun. Ichi was failing at flirting with the waitress indeed. His own over-eagerness was hilarious, especially since I could scan the woman and know she was twice his age. Double hilarity. Malcolm actually had some attention from the men and women that had seen him come in with a Rayfield. Although to Malcolm's annoyance, it was mostly questions about what his dad did for a living. Hiromi though was busy, barely taking any part in the conversation as she was constantly on calls. Then, it grew closer. 20 minutes until I was up. And in walked Junichiro Kusanagi. "Who squealed?" I demanded, harshly looking at my tunes. "Just tell me, I'll only kill you a little." I hissed at the little traitors, and all three of them looked away. "So it's treason then," I whispered out, realizing they had all betrayed me. Of course we had to tell Jun, Motoko. He'd have killed us if we didn't. Ichi finally squealed first, as Hiromi waved at Jun but was distracted on a call still. I growled at the two boys before flushing as Jun walked over and pulled me into a tight hug. "I'm so proud of you," he whispered into my ear, which was just outright breaking the rules. "So why this shithole?" the person that had accompanied Jun asked. Alice looked over the place with a look of distaste. "Hey," the owner called out, but Alice just ignored him as he turned to just grumble to himself instead. "I didn't expect you, Alice. And I wanted a small place for my first gig," I answered back. She nodded at that. "Well, it is small. And Jun asked me to come. When I heard it was you playing, I had to come," she offered, but I could tell that wasn't the truth. She was making eyes at Jun the whole time. Fair enough. Jun probably asked her to come since she was more musically inclined, and she knew me, not realizing Alice didn't give a shit about me. But Jun was here now. Damn it. This was supposed to be a small event. Minutes passed as Jun and Alice settled in, at another table. There wasn't enough room at the one my tunes had claimed. To my discomfort, more people were coming in. Already the stereo was playing samurai songs, and the noise was drawing in the crowd. My fingers tapping away at the table must have been obvious, but not one bothered me. And time moved ever closer. I was just starting to relax when even more people I knew came inside the small bar. At least this time some of them were expected. "Rita," I called out to the woman who was already making her way over, although Nox alongside her was unexpected, along with a few of the other Mox members I didn't know. "Hey kid. I'm on time, right?" she asked, and I nodded. "Yeah, about 10 minutes until showtime," I answered back weakly, and she sent me a gentle smile and a pat on the back. Then Nox was there. "Nova. Motoko. You didn't tell me you were playing a gig. Sup, Romy?" "Call me boss," she demanded, and Nox just scoffed, ignoring her. I was distracted from their little spat though because Rita had seen Jun. "Hey tiger boy," she greeted with a sultry sound that every Mox jerked at, including Nox. All of them staring in shock. "Hey Mox girl," Jun greeted back, maybe for the first time ever making me willing to admit that Jun might, for just a little bit, have some actual game. Rita looked at me and I shooed her off, knowing what she wanted. Besides, I was too anxious to deal with this right now. I idly watched as Alice and Rita realized they were both at odds, and the awkward atmosphere that Jun completely missed as he happily chatted with both women. Jun was so dense. "Motoko?" Hiromi asked, and I looked at her. Nox was also looking at me eagerly. "Sorry, I was distracted. What's up?" "Tell Nox that I'm his boss," Hiromi demanded, and then Nox interrupted. "You aren't my boss. Motoko and I are partners. Tell her, Motoko, we had a good thing, right? I handled distribution." the boy pleaded, and I looked at both of them for a moment before just laughing at their silly argument. It helped ground me a bit, reminded me I was just a teenager, and it was okay to have teenager problems. "You're both great," I told them instead with a smile, and that at least stopped the argument, although why June was rolling his eyes at me was annoying when he was the one with 2 girls currently flirting with him. I rolled my eyes at him back, which had him chuckle. The time ticked down, and finally I rose up, guitar in hand, music box in the other. The bar had gone quiet. The stereo behind me playing Samurai had turned off, and it was now under my control as I plugged my music box into it. The lights were off, and there were more people here than I would have liked. I peeked behind me as I fiddled with the music box and could make out the crowd in the shadowed bar. A general murmur was going through it. I could hear a lot of people asking questions about my age, and why I was at this sort of bar. Lot of people were wondering if I was going to play some shitty pop music or something. This was a rock bar after all. I pulled out the personal link cord, and stuck it into the music box, then I pulled another one and slipped it into my guitar I was hooked up. Deep breath. Exhale. I stood up, and looked up at the lights. Technically I had been given access to the lighting system, but I had no setup for it. So I just hacked into the equipment, and threw a few changes at the rather straightforward program it was inbuilt with. The lights shifted, most of them angling sort of around the stage, as my holograms would work best in lower light. It was time. Turn on my BD recorder. Take a few steps towards the mic, feeling my personal link stretch a bit, but it was fine, I had plenty of cord left. "Hi, I'm Motoko, and I'm going to play a set tonight. I don't really have a band name picked out yet. And I'm a solo act for now until I get some bandmates. So for tonight just bear with me," I offered, feeling like my throat was dry as I spoke in front of the whole crowd. Come on. I've murdered more people than this in one go. Why was I so worked up? Cool. Be cool. I stretched a bit and then it was time. Behind me the holograms activated. Images of me, showing much more confidence than I felt right now appeared. Drummer Motoko even spun the sticks like I had programmed her to, showing an easy confidence. "This first song is called Smells Like Teen Spirit," I explained, then without waiting my strumming began. The opening chords that Cobain had wowed the world with so long ago. A few moments later the drums started, and the energy of the room picked up, then mellowed for a moment, as it was time to sing. "Load up on guns, bring your friends. It's fun to lose and to pretend," I sang, and there was an electricity in the room. I realized then, just how much Rockaboy taught beyond just music. My eyes roved through the crowd, settling on faces, as I sang directly to them, drawing them in, the music distracting them from everything else until it was just them, and me. I shifted the way I moved, a motion almost like dancing, a consistent motion that mirrored the song, a motion that drew people into following along. Yet without a full band, I was climbing uphill. I should have the rest of the band showing off their energy synergizing, but the music box holograms could only show what I had programmed, and I hadn't considered everything that I would need. So it was all on me, the energy, the motion, the song. And I didn't let myself hesitate, or slow. I was the front runner, and I could do this. Our little group, it's always been, and always will until the end. These lyrics I emphasized heavily, singing them loud and clear. Smells Like Teen Spirit had a lot of nonsensical lyrics, it was supposed to, but until someone understood that, it was a bit weird. But here? With those lyrics, they all understood. All of the people in this club had probably been street kids, had lived with a crew, and had probably lost some of them. I called to them, a siren song to their past. I played the song of Teen Spirit, and the crowd reacted. More and more people were head-banging along. I glanced up and the second floor were actually coming from their tables and resting against the banister, and I sang to them all. My friends, my family, were an oasis for my eyes, because they were into it entirely. Hiromi was practically falling off her stool with how much she was into it. June had the biggest smile on his face. Rita looked shocked and was head-banging along with the rhythm. It was right. This felt good. Even with everyone else around. A denial. I roared out the last lyric. As the music finally came to an end, the last chord slowly fading away in the bar. It was quiet for a moment, and then Hiromi practically jumped up on her stool and whistled, and the crowd reacted, cheering and pounding feet, or slapping brosf bottles on the banister. This next song, I started, because I didn't want the energy to fade, and instantly the crowd was quiet. This next song is called Rise. Little less rock, but bear with me, I added, again, and got a laugh from Ichi at my remark, so it was good. I activated the music box, selecting the song. Rise was a weird song. League of Legends hadn't been my game, but the song was pretty Nova. Then holograms changed, different instruments, mostly electronic sounds now, although it still had normal instruments as well. Then the sound started, without waiting, and the crowd watched as I walked to the mic. Welcome to the world, no heroes and villains. I could see the more pop-sounding song wasn't as instantly engaging as Nirvana was to a dive bar, but that was fine. It was my voice that was going to drag them in this time. When I sang, I saw the shock on everyone's face. Smells Like Teen Spirit was a ballad about teenagers, so of course I had let my voice out as a teenager. But this was the next step, when a teenager becomes something more. My voice was huskier, deeper, no longer the same, and the obvious change had dragged all the attention onto me as I sang. As my own voice played back up for me from the speakers, I sang, drawing them into the story. Drawing them into what they had all seen. Prove yourself and rise. Rise. Make them remember you. I roared, my voice changing again as the song hit its apex. Getting older, getting stronger. Making them see the connection between the songs, letting them know I wasn't just playing random songs, but telling a story. The moment the song was over, I walked away from the mic, showing that I was doing something else. Quickly changing the lights to a different hue, the sudden shift startled everyone, but I had to capitalize. Before they could even process, I started again. The tapping of cymbals was heard. Eyes burning away to me. I crooned as I turned, my voice sounded older again, husky and mature, and as I turned I dragged their attention onto me again. The more pop sound of Rise, Into the Rock of This Fire, by Franz Ferdinand echoed off the walls. No, there is a fire in me. A fire that burns. It was perfect, I had drawn them all in, all eyes were on me, and they were all listening. So I gave them it all. This fire is out of control. I'm gonna burn this city. Burn this city. My gaze went out over the crowd, and I sang to them all, releasing my emotions onto the crowd. Cool and rockaboy synergizing, letting me go full out. I demanded their attention, my emotions forced them into my rhythm, my siren songs stole their minds. It was more than just playing. Rockaboy wasn't just playing a song, it was a performance. Although I was alone, it was enough. The unexpected songs, the tricks with lining them up without rest. The way I kept the noise lively and new. Then it ended. Once more the note trailed off, and I had sucked in the wonder of everyone present. That was this fire, I said, and the crowd roared. The song was a titular rockaboy song. The exact sort of thing a bar dedicated to samurai would die for. Realizing my thirst, I looked over and saw Hiromi. I made a grabbing motion to her, and as always she was right on it. She grabbed a bottle of water and chucked it at me. I fumbled the catch with only one hand as I had to leap for it. A moment later I managed to snag it, and earned a laugh from the crowd. I spun the bottle around, popped it open with a thumb and chugged the water down for a few moments, before placing it on the floor and then getting ready. The Pretender, I whispered huskily as the lights shifted to red and white, and then the gentle strums of the Foo Fighters song began. Keep you in the dark, you know they all pretend. I sang softly, like a lullaby, once more the shift in tone drawing eyes as people wondered what was going to happen, but then drummer Motoko started absolutely beating the shit out of the drums. The speed picked up, and I stopped singing softly. Send in your skeletons, sing as their bones go marching in. Again. The pick-up and return to rock had absolutely enthralled the crowd, and I was in it, going full out, letting my real anger seep through as I roared it out. What if I say, I'm not like the others? What if I say I'm not just another of your plays? You're the Pretender. What if I say that I'll never surrender? And soon the crowd was actually roaring back. singing along to the refrains they knew, as I thrust a fist into the sky watching as they all copied me. From Hiromi to June, to every nameless face. First time the song had ever been played in Night City outside of my room, and the crowd was already going wild. That's Dave Grohl for you, I guess. Then it cut. Going quiet. As I whispered the lyric, I could see the crowd go silent to hear, and then my eyes flashed. The lights above me went from red behind me, and white in front to nothing but red as the song went full out. What if I say I'm not like the others? The crowd roared back. I wasn't roaring at the crowd, I was roaring along with them, against the bullshit day-to-day, against the core pushing down. So who are you? I screamed, pointing out over the crowd, and they roared right back. I was on my knees, finger pointing as the song ended, and the crowd was into it. I was breathing heavily despite how fit I was. That was a lot of yelling and moving around. Now to end it. The lights flashed off, then slowly, they each shifted behind me, each of them a different color and pattern. A kaleidoscope, as best as I could make one. The song began. The massive change from the rock track grabbed attention, and I saw some of the mood bleed out of the room. That was fine. It was actually better. This was the ending. The eventual path that all those that try to be edgerunners find. Teenage arrogance. The rise of someone walking the path. The free heart of someone at the top. The anger at the betrayal of a pretender. And the heart-crushing realization of when you are let down. Let You Down by David Podsiadlo. Sasha's song. The emotional connection I had to Sasha was complicated to say the least. So I used it. Feel the rhythm of the streets. Neon lights, and neon dreams. I crooned, this time my sexy Motoko voice on full tilt. I made my voice as husky, as mature as I could. This was the end. Forgive me for letting you down. I crooned, and I met June's eyes. He remembered this song. I remember he thought it was for him, not realizing just what it truly was. But that's okay. This isn't just Sasha's song anymore. It's a song for any edge runner. The end of the path. They will finally feel the flames that run down through my veins. I will make the city burn. I sang a fun call back to this fire, but then it continued. We are not planning to return. And that was it. The moment that every song built up to. The moment some edge runner decides to make a statement in their death. David had certainly written an amazing cyberpunk song. Slowly, as the song ended, the kaleidoscope of lights died out. One by one the colors faded. Then as the last note died, so did the set. I took a step away from the mic. Even as the crowd realized it was over, stirred and roared their approval. I stood there, sweaty, and out of breath, and just took stock of how it had gone. That last song is called Let You Down. I spoke into the mic using my normal voice, and then it was over. Thank you all for listening. That was the end of my set. I turned away from the crowd feeling floaty as I kneeled down by my music box to unplug it, even as the crowd cheered my tunes loudest of all. My mind was filled with what I had just done, but most of all, it was towards an alert I had received. 100 cool XP gained. Cool leveled up. Cool 10. Dash. That was the craziest thing I've ever done. I told my tunes as I stared into a soda. It was amazing. Hiromi argued, and Malcolm nodded, but I couldn't look at them. We were still at the bar, hanging out at the table we had claimed, but it was just too much. June had taken to shooing away the strangers that had come up to congratulate me, because it was just too much. I felt hot, my ears were burning, and I couldn't believe I had actually done that. Hiromi had talked me into it, I had agreed, but I couldn't believe I had gone through with it. I made a complete fool of myself. I whispered, and June suddenly dropped an arm over my shoulder. Never. That was the most amazing thing I've ever seen. You were perfect. What was that you did with your voice? I just altered my voice a little. It's not that hard. I whispered, unable to tear my hands away from my face. Hey. I can't do it. He offered, and then Malcolm was there, punching me in the shoulder, which had him wince a moment later as he hit my chrome. Ow. Don't freak out, Motoko. That was amazing. Those songs were absolutely nova. I hadn't heard all of them yet. he offered, but I just kept my head in my hands. Everyone was staring at me. Everyone had heard me play. I whispered, and a moment later June chuckled at me. It's cute how embarrassed you get about this stuff, he explained to me, and I finally jerked up to glare at him. I'm not cute when I'm embarrassed. Kinda. Yep. Hiromi and Malcolm both cut in and I turned to glare at them, but both of my chums just sent me smirks. I'm back, Ichi called out, dropping off some more drinks for everyone, including a new soda for me. You know, if nothing else, getting Motoko to play so we get free drinks is pretty nova. Oh. Yeah. We should make Motoko play every time we go to a bar so we all drink free, Hiromi chirped, and I sent her a look of horror that only had her smirking at me all the wider. You have my vote, Ichi offered, and Malcolm, despite already chugging his drink, threw up a hand to signal he was agreeing. Hey, I snapped, but none of my chums seemed to mind my existential breakdown. Hey kid. A voice from behind us drew my eyes away from my chums. June looked the man over and stepped aside, letting me see the barman. Yeah? You did good work. Wasn't sure about it when I heard you didn't have a full band, but you did a good job bringing the energy up, the older man offered, rubbing at his chin. You ever want to play again, you call me up. The Red Dirt will be happy to host you, but if you want some advice, get a band to play with. I think you got something there, and a real band will really bring it out. I felt my throat clench up as the idea of having a band was a little too much. Instead I just nodded at his words. He seemed to pick up on my anxiety and just laughed. You'll get used to it. All the greats do, he assured me. Then he looked over to Hiromi, and his eyes flashed. Payment for the work, he offered, and Hiromi had a look of the cat that caught the canary.